Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you from the Springfield Terminal. I'm hoping to be leaving soon. Not going to go into any details, but this was your typical trip where you come in thinking you're going to be kind of in and out. You know, maybe got a few things to do, but no need for a 34, But one thing leads to another, starting at inbound that just lengthens and lengthens your trip here, and eventually it gets to the point where it just doesn't even make sense to leave before a 34. You're that close, you may as well stay a little longer, and leave with a 70-hour clock. So anyway, I should be out of here. I just got driver lineups sent me, or I talked to driver lineup. They gave me some a set of loads, gave me about 5 or 6 of them or so, and the first one being to Texas. It was one said on the yard, ready to go. And the rest were all kind of Midwest, Kansas, Oklahoma. I think there was a Mississippi in there. Long list of them. All of those were varying degrees of almost here, going to be here in a few hours, this kind of thing. And I'm ready to go. I basically picked just based on the one that was ready to go right now. And of course, they sent me the information. And instead of getting a location on the yard, it said it's in Bay 7 being worked on. We'll let you know when it's ready. So can't win for losing, but anyway, it is what it is. This has been a lot longer than I intended to stay here, but I enjoyed it. Whatever. Make the best of the downtime you have. No sense getting angry about it. So had fun. had some meals. Got some other things done that needed to, that wasn't urgent, but I got a few things other than maintenance and things like that squared away. So all in all, not too bad. Hopefully it'll be out soon. Now this video, I guess I wanted to start with just a real quick rant. I'm not one to do this very often. In fact, my last video I made a point to say, you watch all the social media truckers and everything, and they're just griping about everything, long waits, at the shippers and receivers, and rude people, fuel island shenanigans, all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I agree with all of them. I just choose not to let it piss me off so much. I look at all of this stuff as it's the job. Yes, it's frustrating. I'm not going to claim to be perfect in that regard, but I do make an effort just to let it roll off. There's nothing I can do about most of it, so why stew about it? So that's kind of my philosophy on that. I don't let it upset me. But you want to know what does steam me? Thought this might be fun in lieu of that conversation last time. The thing that really does send me into a bit of a rage is this, and I'll show you. I just bought this thing, the mount for the window. This is one that I bought, I don't know, a few months ago. I've got one, of course, that's holding my phone right now. As you can see, I'm running through these rather quickly, and seriously, guys, if there's anybody out there that has a brand or something where the stupid suction cup holds, let me know. Or some other mounting device that's really good that works for you guys, because I'm about getting sick. I just bought this one, and it has never held. Every time I've plugged my phone on it, it holds for 3 minutes, just long enough for you to feel secure in it, and it falls off the window. I've tried cleaning the window, the area where it goes. I've tried using water on the suction cup. I've tried to dry it. I'm just sick of them failing. And who knows how many of these I've gone through in my 4 years of trucking. And oh my God, it drives me crazy. And along with that, these forever buying phone cords, because they fail after about 3 months. If you're lucky, they just go down to, slow charge. They go from fast charging to slow charging. And then if you wait a little too long, then the connection to your phone starts failing, and it starts popping on and off and beeping and all. Oh God, there's nothing that sends me into a rage more than that. So anyway, yes, if you've got a brand of these phone holders, the one that I've got on here now is somewhat old faithful for me. It sticks, but it's one of those magnetized ones, which I like in theory. I like being able to, I don't keep my phone there all the time while I'm driving. I like having the view. So, but I like having, if there's something I need for Trucker Path or a third, GPS or whatever, I can just grab it, and it just snaps into place. I don't have to fiddle with anything. So I like it for that, although it doesn't hold. The magnet, eventually the phone will rotate with each bump, and eventually it will end up in the floor. So please, if y'all have one that really works, leave it in comments. Let me know, because I am so sick of buying these and having them fail. I don't know if I said it, but this latest one has never worked. Anyway, yeah, very frustrating. And rolling into what I was going to say for this video, and by the way, I think, as I'm recording this, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I think you're probably looking at me in a picture-in-picture. I'm using test footage. I got my GoPro working. It's not particularly scenic, but what you're looking at, I'm thinking you're looking at, is Florida I-75 from about 4 weeks ago. It's been sitting in my phone. But it was test footage. I thought I might play around with it for this video anyway. So enjoy for what it's worth. All right. This video, and it's kind of in keeping with what I was planning to do with the channel moving forward. I've been on a long hiatus. I'm back. I'm thinking maybe it's a good opportunity to go back to the beginning and work through my short-lived 4-year career so far, starting from the beginning, but with the benefit of hindsight. You know, I can go back to, you know, when I was thinking about coming trucking, from going through PSD and TNT and the nightmare first year and all that. I can go back and have some experience to add to it. Same old stories, but with hindsight, you know. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do. And this, while it wasn't planned, it kind of fits in with that theme. Not necessarily on the positive side, but it's kind of a cautionary tale for those coming out. I was here, it was night before last. As I said, I needed to get I think I said this, I needed to get a chassis lube. That was one of the things, you know, I was bringing in a damaged trailer, and I was going to get a chassis lube. That was the sum total of what I was planning to do here. So I headed over. For those of you that aren't at Prime, we have a bay that's just first come, first serve, 24/7, just for oil changes and lube jobs and that kind of stuff. So I headed over to that lane. It's a row of maintenance bays and a curb, and the maintenance bay that does the lubes is the farthest one to the right, next to a curb. There's a lane that you get in line. Nobody was in line. So I get in line, and I noticed at the time, it didn't really register as an issue, but perpendicular to me, almost into my lane, there was a full tractor trailer pulled almost into my lane, which is odd because there's no exit there. There's no real reason to be pulled straight across, basically blocking all the bays as a tractor trailer. And I'm like, well, that's odd, but whatever. He's not in my bay. I came up to the front of the line, and I was about to get ready to go in, but I started taking notice of what was going on with this truck. It looked like it was fighting its brakes. It's like, you know, it was like lurching forward, backwards, and you could smell the rubber burning, you know. So I was like, okay, that's weird. He's not only in a dead end as far as the terminal goes, but there's something going on with this truck. So I was I think I had my door open. I was about to get out, and this guy came around really apologetic, and he was like, he's a guy about my age, I would say. He's like, I am so sorry. I think I'm in your way. This is my first load, and everything's going wrong. No, he didn't start off with that. Let me be clear. He said, I'm really sorry. I'm in your way. He's like, I'm, you know, apologetic. And I said, that's all right. That's all right. You're not actually in my way. I can get around you. I said, but are you okay? What's going on? You need help? And he's like, God, yes, I need help. He said, this is my absolute first load off the yard, and everything is going wrong. He just, you could see it took me back to my first moments after training, during training, or the deer in the headlights. Oh my God, the world is collapsing around me. Look, you know, and this guy's face, just over it, you know, scared, worried, terrified, upset, stressed to the absolute nines, you know. And so I said, yeah, let me give you a hand. And he's like, what are you trying to do? He's like, I'm trying to move my tandem. So he was trying to move his tandems, and he had the brakes locked, is what he was doing. So anyway, I don't want to go into so much detail, but I walked him through the moving of the tandems. In course, I learned, not right away, but I learned, he was talking about being really heavy up front. I hadn't asked the number yet. I looked at the weight in the back, and there was some play. He could definitely move them forward quite a bit, actually, to balance the front. So I walked up and I said, "Oh, what's the number on your scales in the front?" He said 44,000. I was like, 44,000? I'm like, I'm not sure that's even possible. I said, if you do have 44,000, you've got a big problem here. And I was like, are you sure it's 44,000? And because I think he had said 38 before that, and even that, I'm like, well, that is possible. I've seen, before moving the tandems, it's up there. So him obviously being new and everything, I was like, can you mind if I just jump up and just take a look? And I looked. The needle was pegged as far as it would go, heavy, which was telling me, I think he's got an issue with his scale. I doubt this is 44,000 pounds, up front. So I said, the best I can do here, again, I'm over in front of the maintenance bays. I'm nowhere near inbound. And I said, the best I can do for you right now is we can just move your tandem, just our best guess, not knowing anything up front, that it's probably okay to move up a little bit. So we moved his tandems about midway. And I said, what you can do is when you're going in outbound, there's a lane that has a scale, and you can, scale your load and talk to the people inside, and they'll give you the scale weights and whatever. You can work it out then. And anyway, and in the meantime, I'm working with him, but he's just every so often, he's like, I don't think this is for me. He's like, man, he's like, I just don't think I can handle this. I'm not ready. I don't think this is going to be the job for me. And I just kept saying, well, let's get through this, so let's get past this hurdle. But anyway, I was trying to be reassuring, but I was trying to actually get him out of at least this hurdle to his night. So anyway, I had him, we moved the tandems, and the next problem, and I told him, I said, I'm not sure where you were heading. I said, this is a dead end. This is just maintenance. He's like, oh, I thought this was outbound. That's why he had pulled in. Lord help him if that was outbound. He was like I said, he was parallel or right alongside, blocking all of the things. If it had been outbound, there's no way he could have turned left into any of those bays. And he was so close to him, he wasn't far enough out to do the, go past the bay and then come back so you get your trailer behind you. There was no chance of that. So I was like, but I looked at the situation. He had plenty of room to do a U-turn if he backed up and kind of repositioned himself. But I had learned through, dealing with him. And by the way, this is no shade on him. This is not a video about me making fun of somebody. I hope it doesn't come off as that. This took me back to my early days, and how scary it was right at first, how intimidating this job is. But anyway, I said, are you able? I was truly concerned that just driving skill-wise, are you able to do a U-turn here and get out? He's like, I think so. I was like, have you ever done a U-turn before, ever, TNT? And he's like, no, I've never done a full U-turn. And I said, all right, well, I'll walk you through it, but we need to reset up. You don't have enough turn space to the left, but we can get some. We need to back up and scoot over a little bit. So anyway, I walked him through all that, and he was able to make the U-turn. And he's like, if this isn't outbound, and again, if you're not at prime, this is as far away from outbound as you can possibly get, this set of maintenance bays. So, and he's asking for directions. Like, I kind of pointed in the general direction because I'm way across several parking lots where outbound is. I said, basically, you head that way until you can't, you got to make a left at the, at the pad, the training pad, and then you turn left and there's outbound. And anyway, he again just despair. He's just like, I don't think I can do this. And I said, listen, it is rough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's scary at first. There's just no getting around it, but it gets better every day. It gets a little tiny bit better, and I can say now that it gets better to the point where it's easy. I mean, I know there's frustrations and all that. I'm not calling it easy that way, but just the skills involved, those problems fade away over time. The backing, the driving, all the stuff that's really difficult at first just is a non-issue after a while. So as that goes, these kind of things, these issues go away, And he, reached out, we shook hands, and he left. And I was happy that I was able to help him, but God's honest truth, I don't think he's going to make it. And it's not his fault. It was obvious. He was not trained in anything. Nothing. And he obviously went through TNT. You know, he's on his first load at Prime. He's been through PSD, TNT, and he didn't know the first thing about moving his tandems. He didn't know anything about the yard ear. I mean, like I said, he was in as far of a problem as you could get when you're trying to go to outbound. You couldn't have been in a further location and more in a dead end than he had put himself into. And I was like, in my mind, I'm not even sure he's going to get off the yard tonight. You know, he's going to hit a couple more issues probably on the way out of here. You know, at least a couple. You know, and I've got my own things to do. I can't, you know, jump in as much as I honestly would have wanted to. I would have loved to sat in the passenger seat and just made sure he navigated the yard, got into the scale house, and knows how to do that, move his tandems, you know, on the way out, whatever, you know. But I mean, I can't. I was here to do things for myself. I can't do that. But it weighed on me, and it even to today, it pops in my head every once in a while. I was like, God, I hope that guy made it out okay. But in my heart of hearts, I don't see him making it. You know, how do you? He was worse off than I ever was. You know, I've talked about a little bit of my training. I don't go into it because I don't like bashing people. I learned most of the job from my trainer. I didn't like the way he did it. We didn't get along. His methods were not conducive to learning, in my humble opinion. But 90% of it, I did know how to do when I left training. I can't complain about that. Tandems, I knew how to turn my tandems. I knew the yard. I knew how to navigate, this kind of thing. He did not teach me backing. He tried, but his methods were horrible. I didn't learn a thing. But everything else, the job, I had the basics down. It certainly, you know, needed to improve my skills over time, but I did know the job pretty much leaving. It was the backing that was the big issue for me. So, but I could empathize with the guy. I knew the level of absolute fear, terror, and stress that he was going through. And knowing that this was not going to be the last hurdle, even that night. I knew everything is going to trip this guy up. And I felt for him so bad, you know. But unfortunately, I can say that I helped him through that issue, and I hope he does okay. But just if I'm being honest with myself, he was unfairly not prepared for this job. And that's kind of my point on this is, you know, Prime in a lot of ways is great. I think the theory behind the training program here is great. I would not have wanted to go anywhere where you do your PSD or you get your CDL and they hand you the keys with your license. Hell no. At the very least, Prime spends a lot of time trying to train you. The downside to the Prime training is that it's kind of a roll of the dice. You know, it's who you get as a trainer that's going to determine, A, if you're going to get your CDL, if you get a good trainer for PSD or not. And then TNT, are you going to have somebody that trains you how to do this job? Nobody comes out of PSD, master it, backing, and knowing everything A to Z. That's not possible. But there's good trainers and there's bad trainers. And you can come out having the basics down, which is kind of the best you can hope for. And you can come out not knowing shit. And this guy, I felt so bad for him. He didn't know shit. And very likable guy. Again, this is not throwing shade. This is to make the point, unfortunately, that, you know, if you do come through Prime or any place, you know, if you've got a shit trainer that you're not learning, it really would behoove you. And I probably should have spoken up. I was learning, so I didn't speak up about my trainer and try to get it changed or anything. So, and I think I did right. Looking back, I still think put your head down, get through it. But if you're not learning, you know, to me, the hygiene issues, the personality conflicts, all that, if you can make it, put your head down, get through it. If you're learning, that is the thing you need to, and that seems to be not the thing that people talk about. Are you learning this job? Because that's going to dictate your first year and what level of nightmare that's going to be. So it would behoove you above all else, if you have the most wonderful trainer on earth as far as personality and you get along great, but they're not teaching you anything, get the hell out of there. Get a new trainer. Call the training department. That's my personal opinion. That to me goes above all personality conflicts and hygiene, things like that. Yeah, there's a level of grossness that enough is enough. I agreed, but you're in that 3 months to learn this job, and if you're not learning this job, I'm telling you, this job will beat you to death if you don't have the basics down. At least it's going to beat you no matter what your rookie year. But there's levels to that, and I had a rough one. But if I was this guy that I helped the other night, that's a level of hell that I didn't experience. So I wish him luck. I really hope he beats the odds, and I'm wrong that that I think he'll make it. But I don't think he's going to make it, and I don't think it's his fault. He was not served well by whoever his trainer was. So, for whatever it's worth, that's my 2 cents on that. Anyway, I'm hoping to get out of here soon. I just heard my text, my Prime text go off. I'm going to look at that and see about maybe that's them letting me know that the trailer's ready. So, all right, folks, good talking to you. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.